frontier is defined as uncharted territory by land or ocean. Those who chart that territory tell a story. The past illustrates the blueprint for the present, how things are and how they've evolved. From land to water, we are challenged to border that new frontier, a frontier the outdoorsman knows like no other. Author Gary Lewis works his way along that edge of where discoveries, failures, and achievements have written the story of the sportsman.
Yes! Yes!
From state to state, continent to continent, the stories told create the foundation of the present, and they lay the framework for the future. Through the muzzle fire and on the stone are stories from the edge.
Water is the most important thing as far as Indians are concerned, 'cause that's life.
The past is written, the present is here, and this is Frontier Unlimited.
Sheep Mountain is not far from Halfway, which is not halfway at all, but all the way, almost to the Snake River. Population 2,000 souls. Halfway is one of Eastern Oregon's best towns, with most of its residents connected some way to either farming, ranching, or mining. It is edge habitat, which makes it a great place to live and near good hunting.
Right there, that's called Sheep Mountain, and an almost guaranteed way to get in the bears is to hike on top of that thing and just check out each drainage.
Lucas Simpson guides for Pine Valley Outfitters. 39-year-old, he trains like a mixed martial arts fighter, which makes him a patient hunter. Like the black bear, this hunt was supposed to be easy. Indian plumes, Italian plums, hawthorn berry, huckleberry, blackberry.
We're gonna walk you up about a half mile or so, and to where there's a breakup in this timber, and there's a really prominent trail that goes across the side of the hill. And it seems like that is like the get the hell out trail for bears when they're spooked up. We'll be walking by Italian plums and Indian plums and blackberries and varieties of apples.
Because I'm kind of hungry.
Well, there might be a few apple trees that are ready.
I can browse on the way up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sheep Mountain is 15 miles away in a small range south of the Wallowas, west of the Snake River, and for many years there has been no sheep, just a few deer, a few elk, and bears, black bears.
Apples. So we got berries, apples.
Late August and early September, they thought, was a great time to find bears, where fruit is plentiful.
See bears napping under those pine trees up there lots of times. Always check it out. I think I'm gonna walk down in there and check out the sign.
There's a lot of bear food here. Look at all those apples on the ground. Indian plums. Man, they're good.
Oh wow, that's a good tree.
It was probably a bear that broke that branch off. And that's why. That is good stuff right there.
See the stone foundation there?
Yeah.
And on the other side of the creek.
Oh,
Can you
that's
see
the
that
trail? Yeah.
Yep.
That thing is cut in. So sit up there in that little spot. Okay. And then watch this opening in this road and that hillside. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna ghost up the hill and go sneaking around.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
That gets our scent off the road too.
Yeah. The wind's all goofy right now.
We're at a junction of a pretty major canyon right here. And this creek down below, so good solid water source. Tons of food down there. Everything coming into ripeness right now. And then we got a good trail right here in front of us as well. A closed road. This is as good a spot as any.
At 15 minutes into the set, a bear huffed at the edge of the trees, but it would not show itself. On the other side of the meadow, another critter set a squirrel into a fit of scolding. Some large animal coughed, but again did not emerge from the brush line. Simpson and Lewis walked out in the dark, nibbling at Indian plums.
Using a predator call is a common way to bring in predators to a call set. Lewis and Simpson set one up on the hill and waited and watched.
So I was thinking, setting up right on that knob right there.
I think we should set the call. Probably on this level, but we want to be able to watch that spot. I heard a mountain lion whistle on the other side of that ridge. He whistled twice.
With just the sound of cougar calls on the other side of the hills, no bears were found.
Is this our jump off spot?
Yeah.
Like I said, there's always a decent bear in here.
Oh, yeah.
We've already seen more sign here than we have in the other places.
I got the feeling there's a lot of grouse in that brush we just went through.
Yeah.
A small herd of elk fed in the high meadow, but no bear showed on the canyon walls.
This might be serviceberry. Or actually sarvisberry.
Up onto a hogback, they climbed, saving their strength, going slow, one foot in front of the other.
This is steep. It's steeper than a lot of other places you go to. And You gotta be in shape, man. You gotta do this while you can. See it while you can. It's weird how we haven't seen any deer. We haven't found any shed antlers on the ground. We haven't bumped a coyote. We know there's bears here because we saw the tracks. It's just kind of an odd day. You can speculate about why there's a lack of game, and maybe it's predators. Cougars, wolves, bears. Makes you think. Howdy.
Hey. I didn't see a damn thing.
Heard some chucker back up there. Did you bump more grouse?
Yeah, one or two in the bottom there.
The river's come up since this morning. We're gonna go up the slope and out onto this long open flat and then drop down into a real deep canyon and try to set up the call in a spot that we can watch the approach paths and watch our downwind side. We'll see how it looks when we get there, but it sure looked like a good plan from the highway.
If it keeps blowing across like this, it's going to push our SIDS into this cut, perhaps.
Yeah, that's one of the leaks in our boat. But
I wasn't counting on this.
it's funneling that way so far.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I love it whenever I can call into the junction of two draws.
This might be the best thing we had going so far.
Looking up the hill, Lewis saw slopes of two further hills creating a natural funnel.
Looks like we should be about opposite of that little grove of trees.
From there, it was going to be anything but easy. They had 4 hours maybe, out in the August sun and the temperature hovering in the mid-80s. It was here, Lewis thought, this hunt would end.
Okay, I got one. Go straight up here. And you go up to that little patch of green up there.
Yeah.
And then there's a big pine tree below that patch of green.
Yes.
And then that bear is walking this way. And he's gonna cross that hog back. You think he'll come out in this canyon if he stays on the path he's on?
Perhaps.
Those pine trees, okay.
Shadows lengthened, yet the sun was still full on the rock faces of the mountain. This is how it happens, Lewis reminded himself. Sit in one good place, let the animals move, let them show themselves. There comes a moment in days like this when the animals have to move, a time for water, and there is no giving up. Hunt till dark. Stay at it. Believe in the process.
Let's get on it.
That trail.
Yes. Head up that thing. It works its way up that drainage, clear up into where we want to be.
Lewis and Simpson scrambled to cut the distance, down into a canyon and up to another side through another swale and up through hawthorns.
As soon as we get to that pine tree, we're going to be really close. But this wind, swirling, man. We're going to come around that corner. And we're either going to be able to see into that bowl or just take a few more steps to be able to see into it. I think we got him cornered. Okay. So that's where he disappeared. See that hole right there? Drop into that, make sure he's not in there. You're gonna have to look over here, right? Okay, let's stay in eye contact. Okay. We're way up on the mountain, man. And the sun is going down.
Here they reached an impasse. Simpson believed it had gone one way, and Lewis believed it had gone another. But there was something they could agree on. They had found where the bears were. The bears were in hawthorns, and it did not matter that the apples, plums, or 7 other kinds of berries were on the bushes.
And the bottom of that, he just took off out of the brush. And I hit the ground trying to keep out of view. He went over right here. So we should be able to...
100 yards away, Simpson waved and pointed into the canyon. Lewis sprinted towards his position. A bear went right into the canyon, and Simpson was going to push him out.
Yeah, it might be a waste of time, but it's our last opportunity. He might be down there just watching. I thought I heard something breaking down below.
Simpson plunged down the shoulder of the hill into the bottom, vanishing into a dark hole, into the shadows that had swept across the land. Lewis dropped into a sitting position and put his elbows against his knees. A dark, chocolate brown bear shape materialized on the brush line, and then the bear stood up on its back legs. Finger on the trigger, 3 pounds of squeeze. The punch of the rifle hit Lewis's shoulder. Hit, the bear crashed down into the brush, flashing through openings between saplings and tangled berry branches to the bottom of the creek.
Can't be any farther than 50 yards from this thing. He's almost fell back into the very bottom. But he's still moving and I can still hear him breathing. Somewhere down in there.
Right.
I haven't heard him breathing in about a minute.
In a minute, okay.
Take that back, I just did.
Simpson rejoined Lewis at the hillside, and together they stared into the dark place where the bear had disappeared. There is nothing blacker than a bear in a hole on a moonless night. For long minutes they watched and listened.
Well, we know where he's at. We'll come get him in the morning. I think that's the smart thing right now.
That is definitely a smart thing to do.
It's also the hard thing.
Yeah, but there's so many ways this could go sideways. He's still moving back there. If we tried to get on him.
The smart thing to do is leave, Lewis whispered, and come back in the morning. They would be back before first light. They followed old bighorn trails turned into bear trails, stepping around piles of berry-laden scat and pulled themselves up by stalks of berry bushes. There, waiting for us at the bottom of the creek, was a black bear, except it was brown.
Man. That is crazy. When this bear stood up, all I could think of was my buddy is down there in that canyon right below it, and I need to take it right now before he gets hurt.
Well, actually, I was thinking, hell yeah. That's what would have been waiting to hear the whole time was a rifle shot. And then when he started moving around and kept moving around and kept breathing, I was thinking, oh man, I'm down here right next to it.
Once the Umatilla, Cayuse, Nez Perce, and Walla Walla called this their hunting ground. There was a time when bighorn sheep were numerous as deer in these canyons and on these mountains. And more recently, there was a time when deer were too many to count.
I'll put two of these to a bag. So I put the other one in the too? Yeah.
Today, there is a Rocky Mountain goat, a small elk herd, precious few mule deer, and bears, maybe too many bears. Nothing stays the same, except for Sheep Mountain.